Hello and welcome back. Happy Thursday, everyone. Today we're going to be doing a rundown of Dev Diary 104, which is quality of life improvements, mainly in the UI. And so normally, while I start these off by saying, hey, we're going to be running through it, you maybe want to put this on in the background. This is maybe a 2 monitor in the background because there are a ton of pictures of UI updates that you might be interested in looking at, and obviously you can't look at it if you're just listening. So let's jump in. It's almost entirely UI updates. By the way, I was a little disappointed to not see the construction bug addressed in this Dev Diary, but I'm really happy about a lot of the changes they're putting in, and so hopefully they add that in, as well, because that's kind of, for me at least right now, the most frustrating bug, because a lot of the bugs that would be more frustrating, I kind of know how to play around, but I can't play around the construction bug, because I don't even know what 100% triggers the construction bug, for those of you who don't know. Generally, the way the game is supposed to work, actually, let's pull up the game, I'll show you real quick. Okay, so we're in game real quick, and the way the construction bug works is it's not fully working, or fully not working rather, but you can see here we have an allocation of 25% government construction and 75% private construction. The way it's supposed to work is that the percentage that the private queue gets is supposed to be directly proportional to the amount of money that they are giving, that they are covering for the construction. If we take a look in game and we see the construction goods cost, it's 200,000. But if we take a look at the investment pool transfer, it's only covering 62,000. So it's only covering roughly a third of the construction goods. So the amount of private queue construction that is supposed to be occurring should be around 33%. Instead, we see it overtakes and it has 75%, which means that there's way more there's way less government construction than there should be, and the private queue, the government is paying for this extra marginal 41% private queue construction while not gaining control of it. And this is the crux of the bug. In any case, we're going to jump back into this. Really excited about some of these changes. We'll keep on the Victoria 3 bops in the background, but let's get into it. So we have a diplomacy, and this is the one I'm most happy about. The Start Diplomatic Play pop-up has gotten an overhaul such that it should be much easier to get an idea of how likely any country is to side for you or against you. This is one of the most opaque and frustrating things in the game right now, and I wasn't expecting this to be changed or overhauled or improved until Spheres of Influence. And while it's not going to fully solve everything, this does help things a lot. The relative preference for country tooltip has also been polished up. It now gives you more information on the first level of the tooltip, which in turn should make it clearer for the factors which the AI's decision-making progress. I probably should, anyways, you can see here, demand conquer state, we have this prediction column where it's going to say, hey, I think it's going to go towards this side, but we also have how undecided they are, and that like if you add extra infamy worth of stuff, the preference for you is going to be disaffected or negatively affected rather. I'm sure if you hover these tooltips, you will get breakdowns for the actual numbers as to why they are considering joining you or not joining you or this sort of thing, and this helps out a lot for trying to make a decision whether or not you should go to war, rather than this sort of situation where it would show no preference and then you would get like 3 people joining against you, and it's just like this wild situation. But we could see that in this play, it's a lot more transparent what's going on. Still, I think there's still going to be problems with the diplomatic plays. I'm not saying that this is completely fixed, but this gives you a much better idea of what's going on going into them. The tooltip for a country has gotten completely reworked to better include contextual information. The contextual information here is primarily this. These actually, inform how the AI plays quite a bit. You can expect to see, someone who's got economic imperialism or whatever that's called, really lean into subjugating or gaining new people in their customs union, for example. Defend the borders means you're very unlikely to join a customs union, this type of thing. And so it is pretty useful to be able to see this at a glance now. And we see the same thing now also with this other piece of the UI. And so having this in more spots is definitely good. I probably don't look at these enough as much as I should, because you have to scroll down to look at them currently in the UI. But I know it makes a big difference, and so this can help you try and play around the AI a little bit better, because if they promote balance of power, they're more likely to join against you if you're like doing something crazy, and so like this type of stuff. Or for preserve balance of power, something like this. The country detail planners has also gotten a slight tweak to the layout, which makes it possible to see countries' attitude towards you, their current strategies at a glance, which is perfect, because this makes it easier to make decisions. Again, this isn't solving like the underlying problem that the AI is psychotic and you don't have, sort of recourse or agency in regarding this psychosis, but this makes this psychosis much more transparent. So, the diplomacy map mode has gotten a new map market that shows any ongoing pacts you have with that country, their attitude towards you, and relations, plus any eventual rate of change. And so this will be nice. We could see this looks like, what is this, a trade agreement? Or no, that's what is the heart indicating? This is like, you can see vassal or it's the royal union, and so you can see these are trade agreements. I'm not sure what, I guess this is improve relations. This is conciliatory attitude. Oh wait, improve relations and then genial. This is conciliatory attitude. This is loyal plus being a subject. This is cautious plus trade agreement, and so this is going to. I'm not sure how much this will affect my play, but this is definitely an improvement, right? And you can immediately see actually. This will actually be pretty nice when you're trying to track down just who everyone is that is your subject for the purposes of reducing autonomy. Being able to switch to this map mode and see all the relationships might be a little bit easier. So this is, in any case, this is an improvement, right? Diplomatic pacts have been reworked to more clearly state what could cause them to break. Fantastic. The biggest one is I still don't like getting in alliances with people and doing alliances because they just break their alliance. And to be fair, I don't think this will help. But the fact that it's saying that it's at risk of breaking or is about to break is going to help out a lot. But alliances get broken a lot, and this is just... it makes the alliance feature just feel like non-existent. This change is also reflected in the pact is broken notifications, making them easier to understand. Fantastic. This is going to be really good if you are actually using alliances or this type of thing, because you're just you go to do a war and then you don't have your ally anymore, and you're like, hey, what gives? Okay. We see an outliner rework as well. The outliner now has tabs pinned: economy, politics, diplomacy, and military, all. And so you can see here at the very top, tabs, which is fantastic, which is going to give you a lot more control over what you are showing at a glance, which is going to help out a whole lot, I think, and it's not just going to be all one thing merged, because generally, if you're not maneuvering your troops, you really don't need to see the army stuff, right? And so the ability to filter this information is going to be really, really nice. Most outliner items also add a design pass, and most of them now show additional information. You can see here the countries tab is going to show relationships. The interest groups is now going to show the interest group leader and their ideology, which is going to be pretty useful. In addition to these changes, you are now able to unpin political movements, diplomatic plays, etc., giving you more control over what is shown in the outliner. I'm not sure I would unpin these because these are pretty critical. Well, maybe unpin diplomatic plays, to be honest, but this is going to give you more control. We have also added an option to move the notification feed to the left of the outliner, similar to what Nuggets mod notifications over not over outliner does. Oh yeah, so the outliner doesn't get completely spam covered by notifications when there's a ton of them. This is pretty nice. I guess I'd have to see it play out. Notifications are now color-coded to give you more information at a glance. This is excellent. Color-coding information is just such a useful way. This way, you know what you have to read or don't have to read just basis on the color, and so this, eases your cognitive load a lot when you can dismiss stuff without having to actually read it or dismiss it like mentally, cognitively. So this is great. And then we have something that I'm not sure I'll use that much, but this is an absolutely tremendous looking thing. And maybe we'll end up using it a lot, but that is the census data panel, formerly known as the POP browser. I think that once you kind of understand how the POPs work, this may be not the most useful thing to go through, but let's talk through it. I'm definitely glad it's here in case I want to look up some information and sort by various things, but let's take a look. In the previous dev diary, we introduced the POP browser, which has been renamed census data panel based on a suggestion by a forum user, this guy. Since then, we have also added literacy, job satisfaction, and needs columns in a second page in the spreadsheet. The common suggestion of visualization of interest group membership sadly had to be postponed, etc. You can still see which POPs are part of an interest group through the population tab and the relevant interest group detail panels like before. For upcoming updates, we're looking at the feasibility of implementing some similar screens for other central types of data, with buildings, states, countries, and goods being at the various earliest stages of planning. So this is really exciting because it's going to make there more transparency when you are trying to look through a highly detailed view of your economy and this type of thing, and sort by things. I think that this it looks like you can sort by profession, culture, religion, state, this type of thing. And so in theory, if it's going to work for economics, you could sort by buildings and this other type of stuff as well. There's just a ton of different, the ability for you to control for one particular group or just like another particular group and look at things. And they also have interest groups off to the right. And didn't they just say they weren't going to have? Okay, I guess maybe you can't sort by interest groups, but you can still see them, something like this. Or at least this is the way I'm taking it to be. And we'll get to play around with this quite a lot when 1.6 comes out. Showing columns for radicals, loyalists, standard living, and strength and other interest groups. So wait, this one's going to be, let's take a look here. It looks like there's similar columns as before, but we can show... Where are they showing radicals here? I see job satisfaction. The fact that you can see job satisfaction in a number is going to be really nice. And also literacy. So this is without getting too into... Wait, subsistence farms at 100% literacy with the peasants? Wait, what the hell? Why do you have 100% literacy as a peasant? I'm so confused. Is that... Okay, well, I mean, this is something I guess we could look at in game at some point later on. But one thing I wanted to point out is often, one of the reasons why wealth-based education is can be worse is because you can't get over 100% literacy, so you can't pull up your literacy via having someone who already has 100% and just giving them more literacy. And so what the wealth-based education does is it you'll hit cap on literacy for really rich pops, and then the additional education access is it's worthless, right? And so it's more valuable to have. And also really wealthy pops generally get max literacy anyways, as a result of the native effective, I think, 2 levels of wealth-based education that you get from empiricism and the other tech, or however it is. And so, being able to look at this information and show this information is something that, we'll get to play around with that. Alright, and then we have some miscellaneous improvements. Scroll positions within the left side panels are now saved and restored when opening and closing or navigating panels, which results in less unnecessary scrolling. This is going to be so great. I mean, the UI is already improved. I remember when the game released, it was really, really frustrating, but you can see here that this person is scrolling down, and then they're, going in, and they're going to click iron or whatever, because they have a shortage, big and not nice, and they're prioritizing export. And then when they rejoin the panel, their thing is in the exact same spot in the panel. And so... Okay, input good shortage markers are now collected on a per state basis on mid-zoom levels, similar to construction, reducing overall clutter. Fantastic. This should improve performance slightly. An upgrade all button has been added for both upgrading all formations in your country and upgrading all units in a particular unit group in a formation. This is fantastic. Where is the upgrade all button? that they say this. Oh, there we go. Upgrade all infantry, upgrade all arty, upgrade all cavalry. So this is going to be really nice, because you won't well, it's going to be somewhat nice. It's definitely an improvement. It's a UI improvement, right? You won't have to scroll down and click it anymore, and you can just click all three of these buttons when you have a situation where you're not sure where you are getting the extra units from, and they're from somewhere, and so it's going to reduce time. The employment indicator has gotten a reworked tooltip that more clearly explains why a building is able to hire or not. Perfect. The way we display qualifications has also received some significant changes. Big nice. Previously, we would display all qualifications for a particular profession in the state panel, regardless of whether the pops held those qualifications actually had any real chance of becoming that profession. For example, your capitalist may very well have a tons of machinist qualifications, but it's not too likely they're going to quit their jobs and make a switch from factory owner to factory worker. Ain't that the truth? Adding to this confusion, the insufficient qualifications warning when a construction building or changing PM would only look at qualifications among peasants and unemployed, meaning its predictions would often not play that way out in practice, because you could get, a laborer who has a bigger income or more wealth than like a peasant, and they can't. They're not part of peasants or unemployed, but they might be qualified, right? Or you could get a machinist who could become an engineer, and this type of thing, and it wouldn't show this. In 1.6, we now show something called we call employable qualifications, which is qualifications held by POPs that are reasonably able to take a job, defined by the following criteria. And then isn't already the relevant POP type, is unemployed, or a job seeker. Job seeker, just a reminder, is someone who's willing or wanting to change their job. So this is not unemployed, is not enslaved, the truth hurts, isn't working in a government building or a subsidized building. If employed, wouldn't consider the change in the POP type to be a downgrade, i.e. aristocrat qualifications for farmers aren't likely to be considered based on wage weight and how their current workplace is paying. What this means is that when you get a warning for a building that's to be constructed but not having enough qualifications to fill, that warning can actually be trusted, and you'll have a much easier time determining which professions bottleneck your industrial efforts. And so this will be pretty nice. I mean, like, the tooltips are often not that trustworthy, especially in instances when you're at equilibrium levels of employment. Like if the building's just barely break even, generally the tooltips like don't tell you anything useful at all. But they often tell you useful stuff. It's just understanding the context where they don't. The tooltip for changing production methods, and this is what I'm talking about, now has more accurate predictions and takes into account factors other than before, such as employment changes, throughput, state traits, among others. And if the others includes, changes in the overall, I imagine this also will not include changes in the overall buy and sell orders within the market and this type of thing. So like you'll still get some instances where the tooltips were guaranteed to be wrong, but this, being better is definitely an improvement, plus a few bug fixes. The construction interaction has two modes for the list terms: condensed, which is what the current game currently is in 1.5, and the new full mode, which has additional information like state traits, employment, production methods, and local prices and inputs for goods. So you can see we're trying to construct. This is construction interaction. This is definitely not the type of thing we've seen before, but you can see all of the PMs in this non-condensed setting. You can see the prices of the inputs and the prices of the outputs, and you can see state traits that are there as well. And so all of this together is pretty nice. I guess the only thing I would want to maybe add to this is like the presence of like mineable resources or like this stuff, or what resources are there, but like that should to some extent be informing the input good price, right? So like if we have a building that consumes sulfur, we should see a place with lower sulfur price if we are producing sulfur there, or this type of thing. And so this does seem like a pretty nice improvement. I think we can still probably sort by stuff like infra, construction efficiency. The fact that it's showing construction efficiency is also huge. This is generally, I think, the most useful piece of information to be appearing, and so this is going to make it easier to make the right decision without having to, manually check states or like remember all the places that have really bad construction and this type of thing, which is what you would have to do previously. You'd have to be like, oh, I can't build there. Even though it'd be really profitable building, it has a really massive construction malice. It's not going to be very efficient. Or sometimes you want to eat the malice, but you don't know how big the malice is, and so knowing how big the malice is going to be useful, where you'd be like, oh, I'll eat a 10% malice because there's a lot of peasants there. But this is going to allow you to see things better. The only thing I would say is that job seekers, we'd rather have this be peasants, but I'm assuming you can change this in settings like you can in the normal construction UI. So this is going to be really nice. The transfer units panel has gotten some extra functionality compared to what is currently available in 1.5 based on many requests by players. Perfect. First and foremost, you can now do, with one quick button, move all or half your units commanders over the other side. So it's going to be really easy to split stuff in half. And you may, of course, want to be more detailed when setting up your transfers, something we now provide additional tools for, namely text box, so you can just write the number you want. Slider and arrow buttons, slide to whatever number you need. A list of all individual units if you want to be really nitty-gritty and select and deselect individual units. And there's one thing we really liked in here, which is this down here. We want to be able to, or at least I do, which is like for not necessarily RP reasons, but like just kind of being a nit about some things. We also want most lists to have sortable or filterable by suitable factors in our game, which is becoming more and more a standard for us to help you find the exact thing you want, especially in lists of more than 10 entries. In the transfer unit window, we have included a filter for you to get the units from a specific state in the selected formation. And so I'm really happy about this because I generally like to group my units by region, which I don't think there is a very significant gameplay reason for doing that. I don't think it's extremely important, but I like to do it, and this will help to be able to do that. But in theory, it should help, if you're considering from the perspective of, like, convoy raiding is going to negatively affect units that are not contiguously connected to the capital or the market more so than others as a result of losing access to goods. And so in theory, the army that you need most to perform should be from a region that is connected directly to your home market. And so this is something that you can maybe care about, and so the regional splitting between regional armies and armies that are directly connected to your market is maybe important, and this helps you to be able to do that. Okay, I'm not saying it's super important. I don't think it's super important, but this is something I just like fret over, and I think I probably use too much cognitive load on this type of thing, but that's where we are. Okay, during our personal development days, we finally made a working prototype for what has been internally referred to as the holy grail of tooltips. Tables in tooltips. Let's go, baby. This implementation is only used in 2 particular places as of 1.6, but we'll more likely start using these more often in the future as they make it much easier to present certain types of information with greater clarity. And you can see here where we are floating over this party, or I think this is, just floating over the party. We can see what the clout is of the interest group owners in a dynamic way, as well as approval. And I'm sure you could look at these in nested things as well to see why the approval is what it is and this type of thing, which is going to make the information a little bit easier. And here we can see taxation revenue in Gotland, where we can actually hover over and see where we're getting our most taxes from. And this type of information is relatively opaque and harder to dig out right now. Exactly how much money is going to the treasury as a result of this building? Can we look at taxation revenue? Can we look at taxation revenue plus, investment pool transfer together? This would be kind of the number I would be most interested in, because logging camps, even if logging camps are giving you like less tax per construction than like a farm, the logging camps will still be superior because the investment will transfer at least at like lower GDP levels. And so being able to sort through and see this information, at a glance, is going to help for decision making. And also, like, one of the problems with the game is that the game is somewhat opaque in a lot of spots, and so a lot of it comes down to just understanding the mechanic. And if you understand the mechanic, you can make a decision about it. But then, while you understand the mechanic, you can't necessarily access the information in a very direct way in some spots. And so this is going to help improve that type of thing. So, closing thoughts. Working on the quality of life improvements from 1.6 has been really fun and rewarding, as it includes some improvements with a high positive impact on the overall UX of the game. The first one is going to be the very biggest, so we're going to go back to that before we outro. But the high point for me was either finally seeing the census data panel take shape after having been one of the features we had scheduled for the next patch for a very long time, or solving how to move the start diplomatic play predictions from the tooltips into the pop-up panel. That's all. In 2 weeks, Alex will discuss some of the upcoming changes to migration mechanics. Oh, baby. So this is what I haven't seen. Yeah, I currently have access to more information as a result of like signing an NDA with them, but I haven't looked at it yet. So I haven't seen if they've actually spoiled some of this, which means I can't spoil any of it. But very, very excited about 1.5.5 was my favorite patch, where they introduced the migration mechanic of cultural communities. And then they took it out because it wasn't ready yet, and okay, fair enough. To be fair, it was horribly unbalanced, but I liked it a lot because you could do a lot of different laws and have those laws still feel good because you could still get migration even when discriminated. And in theory, the cultural communities mechanic helps with the game performance and allows discriminatory migration at the same time, which is tremendous. I think that in a lot of ways, multiculturalism has been pushed back and made harder to get, not because as a representation of, to some degree it's a representation of the simulation, but I think that, or a representation of the time, but I think that it's been pushed back more so because it really negatively affects performance. And so if they implement the cultural communities thing, that'll be very exciting. So we'll see in 2 weeks, or I might see earlier. But you won't. You'll see in 2 weeks. But back to the most important one, which is the demand conquer state. This is just going to be huge, because this is going to allow you to actually not have to okay, the AI is still going to be psychotic, and it's still going to join when it shouldn't join, and you have genial relations and all this, but just the way greater transparency at the start of diplomatic plays is going to mean that you can actually, I think, assess what's going to happen beforehand, or after using this tool for a little bit of time, be able to assess what's actually going to happen, which is just going to be absolutely tremendous. I still think that there should be ways for you to fiddle with their approval or whether or not they're going to join against you a little bit more than there is currently in game, but that's kind of like a separate thing, and so this is very exciting. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this rundown. If you did, please feel free to give it a like, comment, or subscribe. Do the YouTube algorithm thing, and other than that, have a good day.